As a chef, I'm always curious to know if you had only one type of cuisine to dine on for the rest of your life and only that one, what would it be? A lot of people say, well, I love sushi, so Japanese or French or Italian. I hear that a lot. But for me, it's Southeast Asian every single time. The flavors that I had traveling through Vietnam and Thailand are electrical. They're herbaceous. They're so fresh. It's like electricity itself grabbing my tongue and giving it a bear hug, which is why I'm so excited to prepare this amazing dish for you today. Let's get started. I've already prepped the majority of the ingredients because it all comes together very quickly. Ingredients like garlic and shallot and ginger, but there's a couple ingredients I'm gonna slow down and show you, okay? This is lemongrass. I had no idea what this looked like growing up because it wasn't available, but the cool thing is, pretty much every grocery store I go into now has this. Sometimes you'll see it in little plastic clamshells, already cut in half, so there's 2 smaller portions, but it grows just like grass, really, really tall, and it's pretty funky, and it's wonderful to have, and it's extremely lemony smelling and tasty. But this is how you prepare it. What I like to do is lay it down. For this recipe, I want 12 2-inch pieces, okay, 12 equal sized pieces. So in order to get 6 out of this one, I'll cut that in half. Each half goes into thirds, okay? And then, now what? Well, it's really fibrous, but you can bruise it. What happens is, as the lemongrass is in the broth that we'll make later on, it steeps and all that flavor comes out into the broth. And this is the way you do that. Take the back of your knife and give it a good bash, okay? Until it splits, just like that. Right? So I'll finish the rest of these, give them a crack, not much more than that, and then we'll move on to the next ingredient. This next ingredient is really specific to Thai cuisine. This is a makrut lime, or makrut lime leaf. This is a makrut lime. It's just, it's so funky. It doesn't have a lot of juice inside, but this is something you peel and crush together with other ingredients in a mortar pestle to make something like a Thai spicy green curry, okay? But we're not using this today. I just wanted to show you because it's really funky and it's crazy flavorful. But these are the leaves. They grow in these pairs on the sides of the tree and off the limbs, and they're super duper flavorful. And the way I like to prepare it is to either rip them in half and just simply tear them like this into quarters, or you can cut them. But the smell, it's just, there's nothing else that gives you the smell like this lime, but it's not that. It's more heady. It's like smelling something so fragrant and so flavorful. So anyway, that's how you prepare those. So I'll finish with these other 3 leaves. Just kind of tear them in half, rip them into quarters, and that's enough to get a lot of flavor out of them as we're cooking this broth now. All right, so we have a lot of flavor in the lemongrass and the makrut lime leaf. Now on to the main item, mussels. These are Prince Edward Island mussels, or PEI mussels. There's a couple things. When you get mussels and you get them home, you can put them in a bowl, but don't cover them with water, don't cover them with ice. You want to just take a towel or a paper towel that's really damp and put them over top and use them as quickly as possible. You can kind of tell by looking at them which ones are dead. that one is dead. Okay, it's not closing when I squeeze it, so that's going in the trash. Here's another one that is not gonna make it. So visually, it's pretty easy to tell the ones that are not alive. But what about the ones that are slightly open? You can see this little guy, actually, when I picked him up, he just went, and it closed up. That is a great sign. If it doesn't close up right away, you can squeeze it, and what'll happen is it'll stay shut to the point in which you squeeze it. Okay, that one is alive. But more importantly, you also want to de-beard them. This little thing on the side that's sticking out of the side is where the mussel actually holds onto these ropes that they have inside the water. And that's how they grow. But that is not edible. So what you want to do is you want to rip it off. Okay, so this one has no more beard, is what they're called. and then you just kind of put this to the side, and we will discard that later on. So this is ready to go. Let's go and see, there's another beard right there. You can see it hanging off the side. Looks like a little beard. And we'll just hold on to it, yank it. It doesn't want to give it up. There we go. So that is the beard. You do not want to bite into that. And this is the mussel that has no more beard. I'm gonna finish debearding the rest of these mussels, but before I cook with it, there could be some sediment still on top of the shells. So run cold, clean water, give it a good swish, drain it out, and then we are ready to cook. I have a heavy 5.5 quart Dutch oven over medium heat with about 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil, okay? I've heated it for 5 minutes to where it's just beginning to shimmer. Now is the moment we add all the aromatics, all the things that make your senses go, what is this? It's incredible. Which we'll start with garlic. We also have some ginger chopped. We have the lemongrass and makrut limes that we tore up and bashed. Then we have a little bit of heat, so red chili flakes or Thai chili if you can find it, and then some diced shallot and of course black pepper. Now everybody jumps in the pool at once. We're gonna cook this down for about 5 minutes, stirring occasionally to make sure nothing burns. Now's the time when you notice your neighbors poking their heads in the front door being like, what is that insane smell? All the aromatics are ready. You have a little bit of caramelization on the bottom of the pot. That's called fond. The shallots are translucent. So now's the time to deglaze. We want to add some liquid to this, okay? So I have a cup of chicken stock mixed with a cup of water. So that slows down the cooking process, and also you're able to scrape up the fond from the bottom. And of course I have a few tomatoes, about 5 ounces of tomatoes, little guys, and I quartered them. And what that does is it makes it so the acidity and the flavor comes out of the tomato, but it doesn't end up being all mushy, okay, like you would with canned tomatoes. That looks really good. Now we add some flavors, some fat, all right? And the fat is coconut milk, can of coconut milk. Now, I prefer not to use the stuff that has like stabilizers like Gorgo. Just try to find as pure coconut milk as you can find. Not the light stuff, the real coconut milk, okay? The wonderful thing about the coconut milk, the fat in the coconut actually carries all of those flavors that we started with, like the garlic and the ginger, the lemongrass. So it's a way so that every bite that you get of this broth is gonna be full of all that flavor. Everything is in there. Now we just want it to come to a simmer, not a big boil, but just a little simmer. Adjust the flame accordingly for about 20 minutes until the liquid reduces by half. 20 minutes has passed. So flavorful. It's thickened as well. Now is the time we're gonna add cilantro stems. There's a lot of flavor in the stems. Plus I love how vibrant they look, nice and green. And because we're using a heavy Dutch oven, there's so much residual heat in the pot itself that when we add the mussels, here we go, and we give these a quick stir, make sure they're all level, that all that residual heat is going to just hold on to it and bring it back to a simmer very quickly. Now, lid is on. Set an alarm for 4 minutes. Every minute, we're gonna give it a shake like you're making popcorn, but after 4 minutes, we're gonna open it up and hopefully all the shells will be open and then it's time to serve. 4 minutes are up. I'm gonna turn off the heat and let's see what type of joy we have. Oh, we do have a lot of joy in here. If your glasses steam up, that's okay. I think that's a good sign. But we do wanna get these mussels out of this hot container. And the way to do it is to use a slotted spoon and we'll gently remove them. Once I get all the mussels out, then I want to season the broth with a little bit of acidity. That's the juice, probably 1 tablespoon of freshly juiced lime. And then it is time to serve. All right, everyone is out. And now it is time to season with this 1 tablespoon of lime juice. All right. If we need to add more, we can always add more. Let's check it. Perfect. Okay, grab your bread, it's time to eat. We are ready to rock and roll Southeast Asian style with so much flavor. First thing you want to do, grab yourself a couple heaping spoonfuls of this beautifully cooked bowl of PEI mussels. The broth, where all that flavor is. We would be remiss if we didn't pour some of that beautiful broth over top. Oh, thank you. Yes, please. It just looks so pretty. And the wonderful thing about this dish is that when you get a bite of the garlic and the ginger, you can eat that because it's all chopped up into small. We do have the cilantro stems in there, so how about a few cilantro leaves over top? Remember that beautiful herbaceousness. If you need more acid, it's nice to serve your guests a few little pieces of lime so they can squeeze over top. But for now, I think it's time we really tuck in. This is gorgeous. So much flavor in this tiny little mussel. When mussels are cooked with so much flavor and they're not rubbery because they're not overcooked, I think 4 minutes is the perfect amount of time for this mussel. And you just find yourself grabbing another one and then you eat it and repeat another one. So much flavor. Ginger, a little bit of heat. That garlic kind of rounds it out, but the acidity from that fresh lime is just over the top delicious. And of course, if you pull some of these shells to the side, you see all that flavorful broth. That I always like to toast up a bit of fresh sourdough and give it a little dip and sop and family style. And you're looking across at your guests and they're just super duper happy because we're all dining on this amazing Thai food. Isn't that better than a spoon? I think so. I cannot think of another dish that takes so little time but gives you so much flavor in return. At the beginning of this recipe, even if you thought your favorite cuisine was, say, Japanese or French or German, I bet that after you try this dish, you're gonna second guess your choice.